Standing Rock and Donald Trump signing
The
he's
memorandum?
signing is okay, let's get this straight. He's signing the for permission. He's not really signing to drill.
No, he's
Okay,
not.
let's get this straight. He's signing the oh, that's you? Seems to be echoing.
I don't know. Might be me.
Okay. He's not really signing to drill. That's me. Okay, all right. So all right, so is the papers that he signed, was it to drill or was it for permission?
It is a memorandum, is
Mm-hmm.
what he signed.
Okay.
He still has to go through the legal process. We're still pushing. We still need people to comment on the environmental impact statement. We still need that. It baffles me how a corporation this big would not have all their ducks in a row before they put one shovel in the ground. But that's what these people did. They're so arrogant in their wealth and their privilege that they don't think they even need to take care of these things, and obviously they do. So there's still that process, and there's still a court case pending from the Standing Rock Sioux tribe. The Standing Rock Council is asking, as we talked about earlier,
Mm-hmm.
they're asking people to go home because the camps are in a floodplain, and they want to clean up the area before the floods come. So that makes perfect sense. There are a couple camps that are refusing to leave, and what happens with that is what happens with that. So it's a tough time.
And they're saying he still needs permission from the U.S. Army for Keystone.
Yeah, for Keystone, he still needs the land. So what you're looking at with Keystone is you're looking at a foreign country putting a pipeline through our
Canada.
country to send their dirty tar sands oil that their country won't even process, if that's how filthy it is. They're
Okay.
sending it right across America's heartland, just like Dakota Access Pipeline. And really, you don't need both of those. One of those is sufficient. They could piggyback upon one another.
Mm-hmm.
But I digress. So here you have Canada coming across using eminent domain, taking land away from our farmers, our Americans, to give it to Canada for them to run their dirty oil through our country, off to the Gulf, and then boom, off to China. So where does eminent domain come in? Eminent domain is supposed to be used in case of public good. This is not public good in any way. I posted up earlier a link to a study done by Cornell. And I don't know if you saw it, but it was done by the Cornell University Global Labor Institute. And it was very in-depth about, it's called Pipe Dreams, Jobs Gained, Jobs Lost by the Construction of Keystone XL.
Okay. And are
And
there veterans still at Standing Rock?
I'm sorry?
Are there veterans still at Standing Rock? I know
I
there's
would
a whole
imagine
thing.
I would imagine there are some veterans still there, but not that I know of.
Hmm.
So I can't speak to that definitively because I'm not there.
And
I know
what?
it's down to about 500 people.
Okay. Wow. It seemed. I mean, it was good they came. It seemed like.
Yes,
Um. I don't know.
it seemed disorganized.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, because really the veterans who answered the call, that was an amazing thing, and
Hmm.
I think it put a lot of pressure on the state of North Dakota. State of North Dakota has gone above and beyond to violate human rights. They have, um, we had the United Nations there. We had um, other entities who were observing and verifying the fact that human rights were being violated right and left. So another issue is that because the call was put out for a lot of people to come. Some people who came were, I think, probably under the pay of Dakota Access Pipeline, which was true. And we did, the guy who came to camp with a rifle, I think he had like a
Hmm.
AK-47, and the people pushed him into the river, not physically, but they herded him toward the river, and then he was arrested by BIA. And ironically, no charges were pressed against him, but the man who protected the camp and kept him away from the camp, there's charges pressed on him. So North Dakota, Morton County are just out of control. They are wildly charging people with whatever they can charge them with. It seems like the majority of people who are going through the court system their charges are being dismissed, which is terrific. But in the meantime, they've got to put up money. They're spending time in jail. Their lives are being disrupted.
Mm-hmm.
And for what? For Morton County to throw around their weight and their power. And for the governor, who's outgoing, Dalrymple is outgoing, and he has interest in oil. And it's just a trail. Follow the money. Follow the money. If you look at Keystone XL, today I did some research, and 40% of the pipes that are being built for the Keystone XL pipeline are from Russia. They're a Russian company.
Really?
Isn't that
So
shocking?
there's that Putin connection possibly again.
Again and again and again. It's the company, name of the company is Evrax, EVRAX. And they have manufactured 40% of the pipeline. So when Trump says, oh, these are going to be manufactured in the US, well, that's not true. That's smoke and mirrors. Again, we're being distracted by the man behind the curtain. A lot of the pipeline has already been manufactured, both by Evrax and by another company, Evrax, the Russian company, and a company out of India. And a lot of this pipeline's already been laid. So when Keystone XL says, oh, we're going to have, blah, 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 40,000 jobs, that's BS. That's total BS. A lot of the jobs are going to Canada and have already been done, right? And then a lot of the pipeline's been laid. And when they're talking about billions of dollars, really, it's not billions of dollars. It is billions of dollars, but it's not the 7 billion they want you to believe. It's really about 4. And which is not to say that's an insubstantial amount, because it is. We all know $7 billion is a lot of money, but there's, it's smoke and mirrors again. We think this is what we're going to spend. This isn't what you actually spend. And when you're looking at long-term jobs, these are not long-term jobs. These are short-term construction jobs. Build a pipe, go home. They're not moving their families there to stay there all the time. They're
and they're not hiring natives to work the jobs, I'm assuming.
No, they are not going to do that. They're not going to do that.
Okay.
So you're running pipe across tribal land and violating tribal TERA, which is Tribal Employment Rights Offices, which requires you to hire a certain number of natives when you're going across their land. They're not going to do that. They don't care. They'd rather pay a fine. They can afford a fine. They don't care. How much money are they losing every day by not having that pipe laid?
The 10%, or I mean, it says it's at least 90% done. Basically, the only area left is the water. Is that right? Where the lake is?
If you're talking about Dakota Access Pipeline, yeah. The only thing left is the lake.
Okay.
And so that's why people are staying, because they feel like as soon as they leave, then Dakota Access Pipeline, Energy Transfer Partners, they feel like they're going to drill under the lake and go, oops, our bad, give us a fine. They don't care.
Okay, so do you think the troops will come back now that Trump has signed? Do you think, I mean, I know they said, and this was one of the later questions, that the, I guess the Standing Rock tribe, the elders of the tribe, I guess they were telling the water protectors, or what people say, protesters, to leave and to go home. And why is that? Do they feel like it's over now that he's done this as far as Trump?
Well, in my opinion, having read the statement from Standing Rock, again, I think LaDonna's camp, Sacred Stone Camp, that's her land. She doesn't plan on leaving. They don't plan on leaving. And, as I mentioned before about outside agitators coming in, they did have problems with outside people starting stuff with the military, starting stuff with the Morton County sheriffs, throwing rocks and stuff like that. When the natives saw people doing that, we tackled them, brought them down. This is a peaceful camp. This is a camp that needs to be prayerful camp, and that's what we're trying to focus it on. And again, with the floods coming, we've got to get that area cleaned up before the floods come, or we're going to end up polluting the river ourselves. And that's the last thing that Standing Rock wants. Um,
Will the flood distract or get in the way of the construction as far as the drilling?
I hope so.
Yeah, I think that's really the last, not the last call. I guess not to sound cliche would be nature um, doing what it needs to do to make the situation okay.
Yeah,
I don't, yeah, I think it's critical at this point. Um,
I agree.
how do you feel about so we talked about Canada and that company is the Trans Canada.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that is
okay. And how do
TransCanada.
you feel about their prime minister? He's basically reiterating what Trump said about it would be good for the economy. And I mean, they were Canada's been kind of somewhat independent in thinking. You know what I mean? They kind of think for themselves. So were you at all surprised as far as, I mean, money is money, but were you surprised at what the Prime Minister of Canada said?
You know, I'm a little disappointed, along with First Nations people, in that he had a lot of First Nations support, but he's now shown that he's supportive of these pipelines. And I understand you can't make everybody happy, but if your short-sighted decisions affect long-term people's lives, look, we just had a pipeline leak of 82,000 gallons in, was it Indiana? Did you see that?
I heard about that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, 82,000 gallons. And that's the one you hear about. What about the ones we don't? And
Hmm.
how do you clean that up? And that slows down the pipeline, that slows down production. It slows down the ability to grow crops on that land for years. You're talking 7 to 10 years at least.
Hmm.
And what effects does it have on the water table? What effect does it have on the children, on the animals, on families? You can't drink that water. You turn on your tap and you can light your water. Yay, my water's flammable for my next magical trick. I'm going to, whatever.
Hmm.
It's
Yeah.
not safe. Long term, we have to think as a nation long term. And using fossil fuels, we all know, is short term. If you look at the jobs that have been generated by renewable energy, I was looking up
Hmm.
those today. 724,000 jobs were generated in 2014 for renewable energy
Hmm.
versus 40 permanent jobs for Dakota Access Pipeline.
Wow.
Yeah, biogas generated 300,000 construction jobs and 20,000 permanent jobs. 20,000. Let's see. Solar, 705,000. So if you look at the statistics for real jobs that are renewable, that are looking at long-term best interest of
Green.
our country,
Yeah.
you're looking at some substantial numbers.
Hmm.
Public transportation, 11,449 new jobs.
Hmm.
Smart grid, the smart grid is generating in 2013 8,765 jobs. For vehicles, new
Hmm.
jobs for um, hybrids, electric vehicles, 2,392 jobs. So the list goes on and on. It's
Hmm.
really very exciting if you look in that area.
And okay, we'll talk about the alternatives now. I guess is there an alternative method to drilling? I mean, is this like the last option as far as going around the lake for drilling? There's no other option on their end?
So I think what the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers is pushing for is for a reroute around the reservation. And at this point, I think that's going to be our best bet.
Mhm.
We're not going to
So
stop
that's
this. We're going to,
possible. They've already mapped it out and did the.
well, they're doing their environmental impacts. They're going to do their environmental impact statement. That's the
Okay.
hope.
Okay.
Unless it gets pushed through somehow by Trump, the EIS is required,
Okay.
frankly. And I don't. If it had been done first, we would have saved all those graves from being desecrated. We would have saved all those sacred sites from being desecrated.
Hmm.
I saw the other day that in the news somebody had ran into a headstone and there was this big uproar. Oh my gosh, this guy ran into a headstone. That's terrible. Blah blah blah. But where was the uproar when they bulldozed our ancestors? When they bulldozed our family members? Where was the outcry? The bones of our ancestors lie in the path of that pipeline. Dakota Access knew it was there. We told the U.S. Circuit Court it was there. They knew. Dakota Access moved their big equipment down 25 miles on a Saturday when nobody was looking and bulldozed our ancestors, bulldozed our graves. So if there's anyone from the spirit world coming after them, I wouldn't blame them.
Me neither. Me neither. Now so okay, they can reroute, and they're looking to see that, but are they saying that that's the only option? There's no alternative options, or?
Well, alternative option would be to stop the whole pipeline. Why do we need another pipeline? There's other pipelines that are already laid. Why can't they use one of those?
Now, okay, this might be, I don't want to say a stupid question, but the pipeline goes from North Dakota to Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
And what is it? It's just mainly, there's no other, I mean, does it have to be that long? I mean, that's kind of a,
well,
I don't know. I mean,
it's because of the nature of the type of oil it is, it's really, really filthy. And so this is why I think they want another pipeline for it, so they can separate it from the other oil that they're bringing in, and they can send it specifically to a refinery that can clean it.
Okay. Now, the Secretary of State of North Dakota, do you think he's going to sign it? I guess that's who can approve it.
So, Secretary of State, if you want to contact the Secretary of State, that number is 701-328-2900, and that's for the Secretary of State of North Dakota. I highly recommend people call that person and make it clear, or you can go online. It's sos.nd.gov. I like that it's SOS. That cracks me up. It should be standing for Save Our State. You know, you got like what, 100,000 people live in North Dakota, and
the whole state.
Yeah, the population is really small.
Okay,
I could look it up for you, but actually, yeah, I will look it up for you.
So there's a lot of open land there.
Yeah, there really is a lot of open land. But this is what I think. I think that the oil barons of today are on their last hurrah. We're so desperate for oil that we're fracking. We're cracking the crust of the earth, which is causing a substantial number of earthquakes, right? You look at North Dakota. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm totally off. North Dakota, 739,480.
Okay, I was gonna say that.
I used to live there. I always thought there was like 0 people there because you never saw anybody.
Okay.
Anyways, I'm just kidding. So thank you for letting me correct myself.
Okay.
Maybe it's because the town I lived in only had 227 people.
That was I was gonna say, yeah, it can do that small town.
Yeah, so far less than, you know, if you look at the population of any city in America, it's going to be substantially more than the population of the entire state of North Dakota.
Okay.
You know. Okay. So anyway, we all know that fracking is really bad for the environment. We know it's bad for if you look at the statistics for earthquakes in Oklahoma, they have substantially increased since the advent of fracking, to the point where the state of Oklahoma will allow you to sue the oil companies for damage that occurs to your home or your property as a result of earthquakes from fracking.
Wow, the state allows that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
So they've gone up substantially, and let's see.
I know last year it was like the worst. There was a lot of tornadoes, and there was a lot of earthquakes just everywhere. It was.
Yeah. So they experienced 623 magnitude 3+ earthquakes in 2016, 903 in 2015, and it just goes down from there. 579 in 2014 and 109 in 2013. So what they're saying is, because there's so much fracking in Oklahoma, that's contributing to these vast increases in earthquakes.
Okay.
And that's something people can look up for themselves.
Okay.
You don't have to take it from me. That's what I always tell people. I don't make this stuff up. This is crazy.
So how did the U.S. Army Corps, why did they change their mind? First they gave the halt, and now it's...
I think they were, because there was so much pressure across the country.
Mm-hmm.
We were flooding them. We were flooding the White House. We were flooding the Army Corps of Engineers. There were so many people across the country and the world, really, who joined together and said, no, this has got to stop. I think President Obama put some pressure on the Army Corps of Engineers. And so they said, well, let's take another look at this. And yeah, we need to do an environmental impact statement.
Mm-hmm. And he could have signed off, right?
He could have, but Trump could still turn that around, like what he's doing with everything else, right?
Yeah.
You know, we're looking at all these agencies that he's shut down. He's told our science departments, no more, you can't go on the internet anymore. You can't post anything. He's shutting down science because he's not a scientific person. Right. He doesn't understand it. He doesn't believe it. And his buddies, his cronies, they don't want us to believe it either, because then they can't make their money, right? And all they're thinking about is, how much money can I put in my pocket today? I don't care about tomorrow. You look at his little boy Barry and you wonder what kind of world he's going to leave for him.
And see, that what that does is, when you have this whole fake news thing and people are trying to say you can't have fake news and this and that, if you're attacking the scientific community, they are a major portion of proving whether something is false, or, you know, if it's fake news or real news, because it gets tested, or it goes through a hypothesis, or, you know, the theory gets tested, and different things like that. So it's kind of going against what he's really trying to, if he's trying to prevent false news, then who's going to be, there has to be a third party to be in charge of checking whatever you're putting out, you know.
Yeah. Well, you know what, my friend, we are the news. We are the media.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And you see that increasingly, especially at Standing Rock, right? No, the media would not come and cover Standing Rock. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I just called them out on it. CNN, ABC, NBC, CBS, BBC, and I hit them so hard. And when we got to Standing Rock, and who was there? BBC was there, and Al Jazeera. And I was like, yes, the power of social media, right? Because I was telling all my friends, hashtag them up, call them out. And, you know, democracy now. So all the news that was fit to print and was honest was coming from people in the camps and people who were brought to the camps and outside. We had how many journalists get hit by the police?
Rubber bullets.
Get arrested. Yeah, Shailene Woodley got arrested, and she was filming a documentary, and she even said, "Hey, I'm filming a documentary." They didn't care.
It doesn't make, and then what was that? It looked like a video game. I mean, those missile thing, what was that?
The heat-seeking missiles?
Yeah, I mean, you would think, because it's like, okay, and this is not to take away from any of this, but we can flash stuff from the Middle East, and, you know, that boy who had survived that bomb or whatever, you know, like things to basically get into the psyche of people, to trigger people's emotions, you know. But like you said, the media it was like, if you weren't on the internet, you didn't even know that happened.
Exactly. Lawrence O'Donnell, The Last Word, he covered it really well. He and Democracy Now! Were the most honest about their coverage, to be frank. And if you look at the news that come out of there, like the girl who got her elbow blown off by that projectile, and then they tried to blame it on the other water protectors. Like, come on. And even when they talked about the water cannons that were used against the people, they said they were using them to put out fires. And if you look at the video after video shows that they're firing the water right at people below freezing temperatures, and you're giving people hypothermia. Then you've got the highway blocked so they can't get to the hospital. That's inhumane. That is inhumane. There is something wrong with people who will do that to other Americans. We're not talking, this isn't a war. You're defending a private corporation. You're not defending people from attacking the buildings or attacking, you know, at a mall. You're defending a private corporation. Shame on you.
I think it's the same, even though this is the police, but this with this being a $1 billion project, it's kind of
Yeah,
different than the local police in your area, but I
yeah,
think it's the same, I guess, theme where the police in North Dakota, this is a billion dollar project, and they're probably getting paid pennies.
yeah.
You know what I
Well,
mean? So it's like if you take into consideration what what if you were to talk to the police, like, how much really are you getting paid for this? I mean, yeah, you're getting overtime, but you're this isn't really worth it. And then the people who
no,
are in charge of this stuff, they're not getting dirty. They're not coming down here. They're not talking to the protesters. They're not you have to deal with this because of their situation. You know
yeah,
what I mean? So
yeah. The water protectors are there to protect the water. They're not there to be violent. They're not there to, tear stuff up. And like I said, the people who were the agitators,
mhm.
some of them were paid by DAPL itself, Dakota Access Pipeline, and we
Okay.
proved that with the guy in the river with the AK-47. Again, back to
Mhm.
that, who charged with nothing. I mean, if I walked anywhere with an AK-47, or you walked somewhere with an AK-47, we would be
I
beat
wouldn't
the heck up, and we would be in jail for the rest of our lives.
Yeah, I wouldn't even make it down the street if I came out the house with that, let alone in North Dakota.
Yeah, yeah. No, my friend, sad to say. And what,
So let me say this. North Dakota, it's the police, correct? That's
yeah, Morgan
um,
County Sheriff's Department.
right. But they have no history of violence, do they?
They do now.
That's what I'm saying. So where was the change where this police department was okay and fine, and then now all of a sudden they're shooting journalists, they're shooting unarmed people, they're bringing missiles, they're attacking people that have the guy with one leg. I mean, where did
Yeah.
this come from all of a sudden? I don't understand, you know. But
So I think in every level of society, there are people who are without compassion.
mhm,
And unfortunately, we saw that nurtured through Morton County, nurtured and encouraged and promoted. And
mhm,
we saw that through the lies that the Morton County Sheriff spread, saying that they're using their water cannons to put out fires. The only reason people started fires was to help warm people up who had been damaged with the threat of hypothermia
mhm.
in wasn't it like 28 degrees there
Yeah,
in
yeah.
North Dakota. And so you cannot tell me that you can stand in front of a camera and say that you were trying to put out a fire when every single live video showed you firing on human beings, on women, on children, on elders, on veterans. They didn't care. In
Mhm,
fact, they actually, when they shot at people, they shot at men's genitals. They shot people in the back. They shot them in the buttocks. They shot them in their genital areas, specifically on purpose.
mhm.
And they most recently told people to disperse. When they started dispersing, they shot them in the back. And I've seen live video of that. I've got people there on the ground that I've known for years, people I would trust with my life.
They must be getting good overtime pay. That's the only thing I can think of because
Sorry about that.
it doesn't really make any sense. But
It's
I
baffling,
can see if it was the NYPD or the LAPD, like they have a history.
right?
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But
Well, see, we don't know. We don't know, and we
uh,
do know that there's been problems. I know that there's problems um, with racism in North Dakota, in South
mhm,
Dakota against natives. We know
okay,
that. I
yeah.
think it's part of it is I think is A, why are you still here? Because we want the rest of your land. And B, it's guilt. Part of it is guilt. Nobody is responsible for what their ancestors have done. And I spoke at a class at Cayuga Community College this week with my
Mhm,
husband, and I said that to everybody. I said, the people who promoted genocide and pursued genocide against us, thank God those people are dead. Thank God.
mhm,
But you're not responsible for the actions of your ancestors, but you are responsible for your actions right here, right now, today.
mhm.
What are you doing? What are you doing to stop this? What are you doing to protect people at Standing Rock? What are you doing? How are we going to stop this? How are we going to stop all these officers that went there, saw that was acceptable, and then went home? What are they going to do when they get home? What are they going to do to people of color in their own communities? And there were a couple police departments who went, and then when they got back home, they said, we're not going back.
I was just going to ask that. Did the police, it seems like the next step possibly would be the actual police confronting the police. Because if there's this, like, it's kind of like, not to sound cliche again, but like a superhero. Like once you take that oath and you have a badge, it's really not just when you're on duty or, you know what I mean? Like you're supposed to be there wherever you go for humanity, whether you're the police or not, but definitely if you're the police. So it seems like, when are we going to see the police actually band together and try and dispel different things that are going on as far as how the police is treated? Because it seems like there should be an honor. There should be an honor where, okay, I uphold this honor, but you're not, and we have to do something about it. But why didn't they want to come back?
They didn't want to come back because they didn't agree with the tactics being utilized by Morton County Sheriff's Department. And so, you know, my hands go up to them in honor and thanks for being willing to stand up like that. My husband's nation, the Oneida Indian Nation, they have their police department has the highest certification in the entire United States, and they refused to go. They did not go. To be honest, I don't know if they were asked, but they did not go. The call went out to a lot of sheriff's departments, and Oneida Nation did not go. And I know our Oneida police, they are men of honor. And the policemen that I've had interaction with just really a couple minor exceptions, have been men of honor and women of honor, and people I would stand shoulder to shoulder with. But the people at Standing Rock firing on our elders, knocking over a man with one leg, where's the honor in that? Shooting a young girl in the arm, blowing her arm apart, shooting a girl in the eye, and that girl almost lost her eyesight. The list goes on and on. There's nothing honorable about those actions.
You would think if you have an investment in something, the people that are the major investors, they should say something where, you know, hey, this is bad. This is a bad look. What are you guys doing? I didn't plan for all of this to happen. I just invested my money. And I feel like that's what Trump tried to do, but he never showed any proof of him taking his stock out of that corporation.
Yeah, I heard he was divesting himself of it, but I've also heard recently that no, he actually did not. So I don't know what the truth is. I just know that when it comes to money versus lives, for a lot of people, money's going to come first. And that's why when the call went out from Standing Rock, from Chairman David Archambault, the call was for prayerful people. The call was for peace. And I've had people, actually had one person jump all over me because I used a quote from MLK about peaceful protest. And I said, and it said, no rioting, no looting, no violence. And he changed the world, right? And he did.
Yeah, I seen that. Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, I thought that was
just like Gandhi.
Thing. Yeah, exactly, like Gandhi. Great leaders, great thinkers.
Julius Caesar Chavez. I think
amazing people who laid out a path for the rest of us to follow. You know, the people causing violence in a lot of these things are paid agitators. And granted, there are probably some who aren't, but a lot of them are. And so then what's that do? That makes people turn away from your cause because they go, oh, they're just violent. They're not doing any good. Well, that's why we have to hold firm. That's why we have to remain vigilant and peaceful, and encourage one another to remain peaceful and vigilant and protect each other. That's why the Women's March was so powerful this past weekend. My husband and I went down. A bunch of people went down from Onondaga and from the Pacific Northwest, all across the United States. We had tribal people from all over the United States come and take part. There were people trying to come down from Canada who were stopped at the border and told they couldn't come in because they told the truth and said they were coming down for the Women's March. I don't know if you heard about that. They were searched. They were denied entry. Yeah. So the wall's already up.
Okay.
Who knew we were going to build one to the north?
Mm-hmm. So why do you think this has died down as far as, I mean, it's still it's still out there, but it's not, the momentum has definitely went down. Why do you think that is, and what do you think can be done to bring it back up?
So
Besides saying different things.
there's a couple things. One, it's still the process now is shifted to the courts, and that's what the Standing Rock Sioux Tribe has said. Let us try to go through the court system. Let us do what we can on other fronts, because to be honest, they don't want people to die there.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's still a good 3 months of winter, at least, for the most part.
At least North Dakota, at least.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
Yeah. So people who aren't familiar with that kind of weather, they don't want them to freeze to death.
Mm-hmm.
And that's easy to do. Temperatures sometimes hit, when I first moved there, it was 70 below with the wind chill. How long can you survive at 70 below outside? Not long. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if you got somebody from, say, Albuquerque, New Mexico, never been in a winter like you can experience on the Great Plains, maybe they don't know what to do. Maybe they can't survive that kind of thing. And that's what the tribe was saying. If you're not used to our winters, please go home, and we'll let you know if we need you to come back.
So what are that's the plan of the elders, basically, to just use the courts?
So the tribal council, that's their plan.
Okay.
Is to utilize the court system, and there are other tribes. The Oglalas are still there, and other people are still there, and people got to do what people got to do. Yeah. I think there are some people who are prepared to die for this cause, and I just hope that they don't. Mm-hmm. But realistically, if they don't have water to drink, and that's the main water source for their entire reservation, what are they going to do? Because it's not even a matter of if there's a pipeline leak, it's a matter of when. And we all know that to be true. Mm-hmm. So if you don't, what's the saying? If you don't stand for something, you fall for anything. So our people need to stand together. All Americans need to stand together and say, enough's enough. Yeah. We need to go to renewable energy. We need to go there now. And this nonsense about, oh, well, you drive a car, right? Or you took an airplane to get there, right? Yeah. That's ridiculous. You invent a better way to travel, I'll take it. Yeah.
So to wrap it up and to summarize, basically the Secretary of State has 60 days until he can, if he wants to approve or not, and I'll leave his number, his information in the description box. And what exactly are the elders going to court for? Is it, I mean, I'm assuming it's the land, right?
Yeah, they're still suing to protect their land based upon their treaty. And there are a couple treaties involved. So
okay.
Realistically, if you look at the U.S. Supreme Court, or the U.S. Constitution, mm-hmm. Treaties are the supreme law of the land. It says right there in the Constitution. And treaties with us, actually, remember that people were talking about alternative news, alternative mm-hmm. facts. So I hashtagged that up on my Twitter feed. Mm-hmm. I said, U.S. honored every single treaty they ever made with tribal nations. Mm-hmm. Hashtag alternative facts. So, the truth is the U.S. has not honored one single treaty right. with us. We're hoping to get enough pressure and enough people watching that they're going to have to honor them. They're going to have to step up and go, okay, let's just go over this way. Let's go around. But still, you got all those farmers in Iowa who are also suing to protect their farmland.
I was just going to say, is this versus the state of North Dakota?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, this is versus Dakota Access Pipeline. So they've got to stop okay. them. And they're so anyways, I don't have all the facts on that. I'm not an attorney. I don't even play one on TV. So okay. All I can give you is what I'm getting from other people. Mm-hmm. And what I'm getting from them is frustration, anger. Why isn't clean water important to every single American? It's sure important in Flint, Michigan. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
How long have they been drinking water with lead in it, and what's that doing to their children? And I hope there's a giant class action suit against Flint, Michigan. And I hope that their mayor and people responsible go to prison, because that's where they belong. You're talking about all those lives, all those children. How many elders died from that? When are we going to value people over money?
I don't know. I ask myself that question every day, and it seems like it get worse, but I don't know.
It's pretty bad these first 5 days.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying, we were chanting at the Women's March, "Welcome to your first day. We will not go away."
Mm-hmm.
And I hope that sentiment and that fervor stays with all the women that I stood shoulder to shoulder with through the streets of Washington, D.C. and across the world. Because really the world was speaking out, and the world does not want what Trump represents.
So,
and I hope, to be honest, let me throw this out there too. I hope there is an investigation, because it'd be nice to finally know exactly what kind of effect the Russians had on our democratic process for election. My daughter herself was denied the right to vote. So that really ticked me off. Still ticks me off.
Okay. So basically we're waiting again for basically 2 months, or if it takes that long, but up to 2 months.
People can comment. People can comment, right? Their comment period is still open. So they can comment on the Army Corps of Engineers environmental impact statement. They can say, why is this important? So I'm hoping that a lot of people comment and go to that and make your opinion known. We have to protect the water. We don't have any more water sources. What?
Do you know if there would be I guess you can say protests, but are people going to meet with him, like the different tribes? Are they going to meet with the Secretary of State of North Dakota to try?
I don't know if that's planned at this time. I don't know. I don't have that information. I can't offer that.
I just that might be a good idea.
Yeah, I would think so.
Okay. Well, if you got any last words, that's all I have.
So what I would say is to remain vigilant, to remember that we are the media. And if things like what you're doing right here, you reaching out to me and asking me to share with you some of what's going on, it really means a lot to me. It means a lot to my friends, my network, and we need to keep our people strong. There's a lot of people who are dismayed and disheartened and depressed right now, and we don't have time for that. My husband has a phrase. He says, now is not a time to be timid. We're qualified for this moment. You and I, we have to, each one of us, stand shoulder to shoulder against tyranny, because that's what's happening to our country right now. And it's well, for us, we're kind of used to 500 years of that, right? But for the average American, this is a big shock. We're like,
you're right. Yeah, for them. Yeah.
So thank you for what you're doing. I really appreciate it. Thank you for all your friends that are watching, and stay vigilant. Rise up. This is the time to rise up. Doesn't matter what color we are. We got to stand together, and we got to because we're being deliberately divided, right? You can see that. You can see that. I saw that a little bit at the march, people saying, oh, these white women weren't nice to me. Like, get over yourself. You're not here to be nice to. You're here to make a statement. Right now, we need to all stand together, and we need to all work together, because there's so many fronts being attacked. Our veterans, right? Our veterans, our healthcare. I heard today it's up to 32 million people will lose their healthcare. 32 million people. If those 32 million people had voted, we'd be having a different conversation right now, my friend.
No.
So we need to register people to vote. We need people to run for office. There's some crazy guy down in Georgia. What's his name? Christian something. He's absolutely nuts. We got to get him out of office. We have to work on all these fronts, and we cannot be weary.
There's been a little bit of progress, though. I haven't really looked into it, but I know they said, I think Alabama has their first district attorney that's a black woman. Good. Minneapolis, or Minnesota, or is it Minneapolis? I don't know, but they've elected a first female Muslim into like as an elected official. So
Yeah.
it's little pockets here and there. Hopefully it'll add up.
But you know what? We just need people to keep stepping up and saying, okay, you know what? I don't want to, but I'll run for office. And I hope that more and more people are willing to do that because we need them. We need people who are intelligent, informed, educated, and willing to work hard. That's what we need. We don't need any more of these white supremacists, this alt-right, which I think you should call
I think we just need
alt.
compassion and genuine.
Yeah.
We need that too,
Yeah.
but it's just simple. Do unto others. Like if you put yourself in that person's shoes. That's all you have to do. Like,
Yeah.
it shouldn't
So
be this
today,
difficult.
yeah, today I heard on the news they're doing a food drive here in Syracuse, and well, not here, but Syracuse is like half hour, 40 minutes away.
Okay.
But they said 30% of the children in Syracuse are hungry. 30%. 3 out of every 10 kids are hungry. What is wrong with us in America that we let that happen? Seriously, what is wrong with us? Why do we have people who are homeless? Why do we have such high suicide rates? Let's get people together. We have the smartest people in the world have come to our country. Let's put our minds together and see that what we can do for our children. That's a quote from one of our famous tribal leaders, I believe Sitting Bull. But anyway, I could be wrong, so don't quote me. But it's what we need to do. We need to put our minds together, and we need to create a better world instead of a worse one. It's time.
Okay, well, that's all I got. I appreciate it.
Anytime. You take care of yourself and keep in touch, and let's keep doing what we got to do to make this world
That's
better.
a good webcam. What webcam is that? I need one.
This is actually just my iPhone.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, I have it set on top of my, oh, sorry, that was my hand. I have it set on top of my laptop.
Okay. All right.
It's iPhone 5, I think.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll be in touch. I'll get this out and put the information out of how people can reach the Secretary of State. And maybe I'll try to look. I know it said he's a Republican, whatever that's worth, but I don't know his past or his history of.
Well, I would also put up the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. You know, they have. I posted that the other day on my Facebook page about because they're calling for comments, and anybody can comment. Just write in, tell them why it's important. Also, repost that article from Cornell, and that's on my page right now, so you could post that up too.
Cornell West or Cornell University?
Cornell University.
Okay. All right.
And that's about the true facts about how many jobs will be generated, how much money will be generated. And it basically says, look, this is a great, this is a story, but here's the facts. Here's what's actually going to happen. We're already made by a Russian company. Follow the money, my friend. Follow the money.
Okay. Well, I'll see you.
I'll see you later. Take care.
Hopefully we'll have more good news next time.
I'm ready for good news.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah. All right. Have a good one.
Thanks. Bye-bye now.